Recently, there has been a new learning method being implemented in classrooms. It's called active learning. What is active learning? Well, that's what today's investigation is about. Active learning is when students engage in activities that promote analysis, synthesis, and evaluation of class content.
Active learning involves teaching techniques that are something other than straight lecture. Second, active learning is not an entire project or assignment, but a much smaller task you give your students. However, a project or assignment can have several active learning pieces within it. Third, in order to consider something active learning, students must be doing something including discovering, processing, and applying information, not just listening to a lecture or reading a PowerPoint.
Earlier today, I went to Miss Johnson's 3rd grade class. I interviewed her along with our students and asked them all what they thought the teacher's role was, along with the student's role.
The teacher's role in active learning is to decide how much he or she chooses to control the activities, how much facilitation is needed, and to promote class participation. It is important for the teachers to ensure that the lesson is learner-centered and not teacher-centered. This means that the teachers do fewer lessons, demonstrations, or anything that puts the focus on the teacher and not the students.
Instructors often use different strategies in face-to-face and online classes due to their differing approaches to teaching and learning. For example, in a classroom, the instructor might ask each student to turn to their neighbor and discuss a particular topic. In an online course, the same exercise can be accomplished using a discussion thread, document sharing, or instant messaging. The idea is the same, but the approach is different. So what about these examples are considered active learning? In our face-to-face class example, simply having students turn to their neighbor and discuss a topic is active learning. In the online course, having two students discuss the same topic via a discussion thread is active learning as well.
It is important for both the students and the teachers to engage in active learning wholeheartedly and with 100% effort. Students are to analyze, synthesize, or apply material that was learned in both lessons and activities. Case-based problem exercises and classroom debates are wonderful methods of promoting these skills. Learning how to collaborate with others is also a part of this learning process. Small group discussions and peer instruction exercises facilitate these skills. Obstacles that may come with active learning are lack of time and preparation of the techniques for the courses and resistance to change because of the uncertainty from faculty and students that are used to learning or teaching a certain way. Mr. Banks, a principal at Mountain View High, had this to say about active learning.
There are a multitude of advantages of using this strategic method of learning. They are high-level participation of students, use of prior experience or knowledge to help adopt new perspectives and positions, openness of learning outcomes, peer support and learning ownership of and responsibility for learning, and the development of communicative skills. This includes listening, debating, and collaboration with others.
But even with something as beneficial as active learning, there are still a few disadvantages. They are the shortage of time in the class, the dysfunction that may arise with the students' groups, and the lack of expertise or knowledge that the teachers may feel and students may experience. Active learning has a lot of similarities with 16 handy skills, also known as the 16 habits of mind. They both want the students to persist, to listen and understand, to apply past knowledge. There's a lot in common with the habits of mind and this methodology. In general, the habits of mind and this method push the students to grow as individuals. Research has shown that students and teachers both benefit from active learning. It allows them to get involved and participate more in the lesson. A local college that participates in active learning has seen a huge improvement in students. They've noticed a change in their motivation along with their grades. Here's what one of the teachers had to say about it.
And you start to be responsible to one another in that team to bring what you've learned and to teach one another.
Oh, this is really cool. This isn't like any classroom I've ever had before.
And I look at it as a place where students bring what they know, what they already know, what they've learned from the textbook, and they learn how to use that to build new ideas, build new connections, build applications.
One of the biggest aspects of this course was teamwork. And I think I probably learned the most from my peers, just like bouncing ideas off of each other and giving each other feedback.
If you ever had a question, it was so easy to just turn and ask the person sitting next to you. It was a lot more friendly and open in this classroom than a normal classroom, so it was a lot easier to ask your peers for help.
I'd like to end this investigation with a few statistics. Research has also recently shown that students retain 70% of what they write and 90% of what they do. These are both aspects of active learning. Compare that to the traditional learning method, which is the passive learning, where teachers teach and students listen, and you see that they only retain 10% of what they read, 20% of what they hear, and 30% of what they see. There's a huge difference in those numbers. So is active learning an up-and-coming teaching methodology that will be implemented more in classrooms? Absolutely.